Where is Tampa growing? I get asked this all the time. People want to be near the growth, people don't want to be near the growth, but today we're going to study the map with the goal of you understanding exactly where this growth is happening. Here we go. So people ask about growth for various reasons. Some people are like, I want to be near all the new stuff. Some people are like, I want to be away from all the construction. Some people are thinking, where's the new Rays stadium going to go now that there's new owners? I want to be where I want to go ahead and buy because they're going to build that stadium over the next 5-10 years and I want to, cash in on that appreciation. Some people are thinking, where's established? Where are the trees big? Where are the schools really good? Like, they're thinking of things like that. So everybody thinks of this factor of growth and development differently and wants to be near it or far from it for different reasons. And I'll share some specific stories of clients and exactly what they're looking for because I think you might identify with some of them. As always, if you have any real estate needs or questions, we'd love to hear from you. Call, text, or email anytime. So we're going to start on the map with kind of a quick general overview of the whole Tampa area. So obviously we're starting wide out here, but I want to think of Tampa. When people go to Tampa, they're thinking of these skylines, the water downtown, Bayshore Boulevard, the aquarium. They're thinking of the arena downtown. They're thinking of things like this. Now, Tampa is a lot of things different when you live here. And a lot of you are probably watching this maybe because you live here already, you're curious where it's growing, or you're thinking about moving here and you want to know kind of what it's like on the outskirts. So we're going to go through a very general overview real quick. We're going to talk about counties. First of all, Tampa's in Hillsborough County. Hillsborough County is kind of this big section right here. It's about 1.5 million people. It comes all the way over to here. Hillsborough County used to also include this whole area. There was a split off a long time ago, and this became Pinellas County. Hillsborough County is about 1.5 million people. Pinellas County is about 1 million people. Pinellas County is very developed. It's dense. It's one of the densest counties in the state. And think about it. Whenever people started developing the state of Florida, they developed by the water. If there's water all around, why wouldn't you want to live by the water? So that's where the older towns typically are. Tampa and Tarpon Springs were the first towns in the area. St. Petersburg followed 2 years later. And then Tampa started to boom kind of in the early 1900s and started to grow pretty fast. With the railroad, with the streetcar system, with the cigar industry, with the establishment of Ybor City, with the growth of the port, with all those kind of things right before the Great Depression. But for years and years, the growth has gone water out. Even now, we'll see where it's still trying to be as close to the water as possible instead of capitalizing on some of these areas that are a bit further out. It's kind of interesting as a lot of people call and compare Tampa and Orlando. Orlando, a big draw is Disney. Whether people like it or not, a big draw is Disney. A lot of people are drawn to the area because of that. But in Tampa, the big draw is the water. So development has always been as close to the water as possible. And as we keep growing away from the water, in terms of development, it grows out and out and out. But it still tries its best to be closer to the water. So that's Hillsborough County, Pinellas County. To the north, we have Pasco County. Pasco County is this big section right here. Now, it has grown a lot over the past few years. Master plan communities have been a big defining feature of that. Highway 54 right along here runs on the south side of the county. Highway 52 runs kind of in the middle of the county toward the north, but this is not the north edge. The north edge is a little bit further up. So 2 main roads east and west, and then a couple main roads going north and south, including Interstate 75. Hillsborough County is currently about 600,000 people. It's projected to get to 1 million people by 2035. To the north of that, we have Hernando County. Hernando County is really like Pasco County, but more rural and more rivers and springs, and there's no beach up here. Really, these counties don't have beaches. Hernando County and Pasco County. Pasco County, and both of them have little beaches. Hernando Beach, Hudson Beach, Green Key, but they're not the kind of beaches that you expect if you're looking at Tampa from a distance. They are a lot more wild. 1/3 of Pasco County, it will never be developed. It's completely preserved from development forever. Hernando County is probably a little bit more than that. That will be preserved mostly because the dirt needs a lot of work to really be stable. When people think of sinkholes and when people hear sinkholes tied to Tampa, that's typically in Hernando County, actually. All right, now going down a bit more, we're going to go down to Manatee County. Now, Manatee County is not technically part of the Tampa MSA, the Metropolitan Statistical Area. That's like a TV market. Now, maybe TV markets don't matter as much anymore as we can all kind of imagine. You guys are watching this on YouTube, so they probably don't matter that much to you. But this area is becoming more and more part of the greater Tampa area. So that line is right along here, really, just in between Willow and Parrish. Parrish is about 60,000 people. Parrish has massive development going on. We're going to get into that. Manatee County comes down here a little ways and really divides just north of Sarasota, and then Sarasota County begins. Sarasota is, in my opinion, definitely not part of the Tampa area. This north side of Manatee County really kind of is, because a lot of people still work in St. Petersburg or work in Tampa. You know, the commute from Bradenton even to downtown Tampa is a little over an hour, which my clients tell me in many other metros is a very normal commute. Now, obviously, we're not used to that here in the Tampa area, and maybe we're going to have to get a little more used to that. So we're going to start with Hillsborough County. Hillsborough County is a very big county. Actually, some recent drama. The state CFO was here visiting, or COO. You can see here the article. He was really getting on to the Hillsborough County leadership for overspending by over $200 million. Now, maybe they have reasons for expenses, but they have very bloated infrastructure. The Sheriff's Department in Hillsborough County is one of the biggest employers in the whole county. Now, they need to be big because a lot of the county is unincorporated and there's no police forces in those towns. So it is the Sheriff's Department that is the police force and the fire force. So like those are it's needed infrastructure, but there may be some bloat in there. That's what the state CFO is kind of freaking out about. But let's zoom in here a little bit on Hillsborough County and exactly where it's developing. So it's kind of developed in these rings. So you started here, very central, Ybor City, then West Tampa, this area right here, then South Tampa grew, then Seminole Heights up here to Sulfur Springs. Sulfur Springs was like the original suburb in Tampa, where the streetcars would pick people up in Sulfur Springs and bring them down to Ybor City to work. Sulfur Springs, the actual like water tower is still there. It's kind of an interesting area right here along the river. This is the Hillsborough River going through here. This is kind of where it started, right here in the middle. Obviously, like any other town, it starts to grow out. Now over here, it became very industrial. This is a big busy port that comes up in here. There's a lot of infrastructure over here with ports and all kinds of things. But then it started growing to the north. These kind of became suburbs, Carrollwood, Town and Country, and then out here to Citrus Park, Northdale, Chase, Westchase. All these areas started to become the suburbs. Now, they are still suburban, but they're kind of this urban suburban feel now where they're pretty congested. You have really easy access to stuff, busy roads, everybody's commuting around, everybody's stuck in lines getting their kids to school. There's more private school options in these areas. And then as you go out further in Hillsborough County, you have more typical suburbs. Cheval is a big gated community, really connected to some great schools right here. And then there's a lot of similar communities like that. Additionally, in Hillsborough County, you have the New Tampa area, which is this area right over here. This area was annexed back into the city in the late 80s, early 90s, and made part of the city it was previously unincorporated county. I actually just sold a house here in Pebble Creek, which was one of the original communities in the New Tampa area from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It's the one community in the New Tampa area that has no CDD and a very low HOA. The others have all that infrastructure cost from when they were built. So this is not where Hillsborough County is growing. And you can see right here is the county line road. That is where Hillsborough County goes into Pasco County. Hillsborough County is growing a little bit over here in a neighborhood called Two Rivers in between Morris Bridge and 301. There's a new neighborhood going in over here. It's starting in Pasco County and then will eventually grow into Hillsborough County. Where Hillsborough County is really growing is down here, just on the border of Manatee County and Hillsborough County. So areas like Ruskin, Apollo Beach, even out here into Lithia. This giant area out here is Lithia, where Fishhawk Ranch is, where the community of Fishhawk is. Fishhawk is technically in Lithia. It's a big master plan community made up of Fishhawk Ranch and Fishhawk Trails. You can check the video up there, the link to the Fishhawk video. Fishhawk is kind of like Westchase to me. It's like this very kind of consistent, established community with good parks and infrastructure and schools, and then it was just kind of plopped out kind of in the country to make it a more affordable option of that master planned vibe. Now it's really cool. Fishhawk Ranch has a kind of varying levels of homes. Fishhawk Trails is gated, has mostly bigger homes and bigger lots. So a lot of development has happened out here in the past, but now a lot of it is happening way over here by Apollo Beach and by Ruskin. This really like I-75 and 41 stretch, Sun City Center kind of excluded from this because Sun City Center is kind of established, kind of built as kind of a ideal 55 plus community. I don't know if they quite hit the mark. But this stretch along here is really where Hillsborough County is growing. But Hillsborough County is not actually growing all that much. Hillsborough County right now is focusing more on infrastructure. Roads in and out, hospitals, schools, shutting down schools, making sure like the right schools are in the right places, and those kind of things. Even like big projects like making sure like septic tanks around the bay get removed that have been there for years and years and years. All those are big infrastructure projects. On top of that, continuing to boost the growth of downtown, of areas around USF, of the airport. All those things are happening, and you probably noticed in the last video, those things are super interesting to me. As the downtown gets more focus, as Tampa gets more attention from afar, it allows all these other outer developments to really be justified as well. Going back to the map real quick, let me point out something that's very interesting. Even though there's a lot more space out here by Fishhawk, the development is getting congested here along these commute paths and being closer to the water. That's super interesting to me. I think people still just, if they're moving to Florida, if they're moving to the Tampa area, they want to be closer to the water. Now, closer to the water here, is 20 miles as a crow flies. It's not that much closer, but people still are mostly drawn to that, so developers are still going to build like that. Okay, quick honorable mention for Pinellas County. There's not a whole lot of development going on in Pinellas County right now. There's not, in terms of real estate, residential real estate, there's not a lot of room to build. They've really got to build up. Now, downtown St. Petersburg has some really unique projects coming in. The Waldorf Astoria, other big condo buildings, luxury condo buildings in downtown St. Pete. But that's not primarily what I'm talking about here. Not a lot of big neighborhood developments, and honestly not a lot of infrastructure development right now, besides the now proposed and funded expansion of 275 going through St. Pete. Now that's going to take 10 years. And the expansion of the airport. So there are some things, but I've talked about those in previous videos. I don't want to just keep saying the same things. Pinellas County is still really recovering from Hurricane Helene, which happened a little over 1 year ago. Hurricane Helene was the worst flooding in the Tampa area in the past 100 years. It affected Pinellas County the most, and that is a big recovery that they are still ongoing. It's going to affect property sales and property values for a long time. Okay, for Manatee County is seeing massive growth. Manatee County is going to start to be compared to Pasco County pretty soon because the growth is super surprising, but a lot of it right now is really in one area. I was with some clients down in Manatee County a couple weeks ago looking at homes in the Sea Air community and in the North River Ranch community particularly. So as we zoom into Parrish here, you can see it really feels like it's part of the Tampa area. You see St. Petersburg right there. Tampa is just up here. It's really about a 45-minute commute to either one of those cities. So it gives access to multiple different working areas, job centers, infrastructure, hospitals, all those kind of things. You have access to two of those at the same reach. So that is one reason our clients love Parrish. But they also love it because of how much it's about to change. We were actually driving through some of these areas recently, and one thing that stood out to my clients was just how different it's going to look when they're here again in 5 months. So a lot of clients choosing to build houses down in this area, capitalizing on the path of development, low interest rates right now, and they're realizing, wow, this road is going to look dramatically different next time we're here to check on our house. That's how quickly Manatee County is developing right now. Now, some other areas like Pasco County we're about to get to, it's not happening that fast anymore because some of that infrastructure, the basic community layouts are kind of there, and then things are getting filled in between. Where in Manatee County, it's like the first layer of the puzzle is going down. I've been doing jigsaw puzzles with my daughter. The frame is almost complete, and then it's going to start filling in really fast. Okay, next is Pasco County. I live in Pasco County. I love Pasco County. It has a very unique mix of developed and not developed. Now, there's tons of growth going on. Projected to grow almost 100% in a 10 to 15 year period. That is massive growth, and it's already grown quite a bit. But there's a couple things I want to point out about Pasco County. Going back to the map here, as we zoom in a little bit, Pasco County is really bordered by the green swamp over here. Dade City is the county seat. It's an old little town. San Antonio, not much of a town. Wesley Chapel is really what everybody knows Pasco County for. And really, Newport Richey is the other one. Newport Richey is technically the biggest town in Pasco County. Newport Richey as a city is very small at downtown, but then the unincorporated areas that are part of Newport Richey is about 150,000 people. Wesley Chapel is about 70,000 people, being the second largest. One thing about Wesley Chapel and the surrounding suburbs is that you don't really notice when you're in one or the other. So Wesley Chapel probably seems bigger than it actually is. When I think about the development of Pasco County, I think of two stretches. So Highway 54, which is this stretch along here, is pretty developed. It turns into Highway 56, which is super annoying, and then 54 comes up here. But then 52 is developed over here on the west side. And then as you really get close to Veterans Expressway right here, like development is really picking up as you go across here. All the way over past I-75, really all the way over to 301. Development is happening quickly. A couple areas I want to focus on here. One is really like this section around San Antonio. Another is this section around Highway 41. There's a lot of development going on here. And some of that stems from actually infrastructure development that is enabling this growth. Right here is Ridge Road. Let me zoom in a little closer and I can draw on this for you. Right here is Ridge Road. I live right off of Ridge Road. I live right over in this Golden Acres area. And Ridge Road used to not connect to the Veterans Expressway. Now it does. This connection goes all the way over here. Then this road goes over this way. This is the Angeline neighborhood. But now they're continuing this connection all the way over to Highway 41 to connect to the Connerton neighborhood. Connerton neighborhood is a big master plan community. They're still building over there. But then there's a lot of other neighborhoods going in down in this area. They're also working to connect this road all the way down here to 54. Now that'll take a little bit longer, but that connection is super important, because all of these just connect each other to where people can work in different areas, people can get to different grocery stores or different shopping or different schools. Different needs can be satisfied in different directions, and that's super valuable because there's a lot of preserve around this. All of this over here is preserved land. Like this is the Starkey Wilderness Park. It will never be built on. That's super important. A lot of the Angeline neighborhood is a preserve. A lot of the Connerton neighborhood is also a preserve. There's a lot of big chunks of preserve around here that really make for a unique area. But then as you go up 41, there's all kinds of neighborhoods being built. I have a video coming up soon featuring a listing I have in this neighborhood, the Talavera neighborhood. Super cool outdoor kitchen in this neighborhood. It's gonna be really fun to make a video about it. But this is technically a Spring Hill address, even though Spring Hill is mostly in Hernando County. You get these weird pockets that are very confusing. This neighborhood, though, is zoned for the new schools in the Angeline neighborhood that are really exciting schools, like a STEM school that goes from like 7th grade to 12, and then there's a really unique charter school for elementary. But it doesn't stop there. There's a giant Amazon warehouse that just got built right over here. It's, genuinely like 10 football fields. You see a shot of it there. It's wild. And then across the street from that on the north side of 52, you have new neighborhoods going in. You can see those there, big Lennar neighborhood. There's just building and building and building, not just homes, but massive infrastructure for industry. That's what I'm seeing, especially in Pasco County. A lot of the kind of tracks are established. Now they're filling it all in. And they're filling it in with giant neighborhoods like Vita's Way and Double Branch and all these big neighborhoods, and then Two Rivers over to on the east side of the county. And then you also have the giant new Target, one of the biggest Targets in the country, right there by the Crate and by the Grove shopping area. And then on the north side of the Grove shopping area, there's a movie theater, and more apartments were just approved to be built right there in front of the movie theater, right there on I-75. Housing is going to be projected to be a problem in a lot of these areas, so apartments are going to be the first fix for that. Now, locals kind of hate it, especially in the Wesley Chapel area. Locals hate all these apartments coming in, and they really kind of try to oppose it, but the stats kind of outweigh their opinions in a lot of these scenarios. And then finally, let's look at Hernando County. Hernando County, like I mentioned before, is kind of like Pasco County, but even more rural, even less developed. Now, a lot of stuff is being developed through Spring Hill. Spring Hill's a pretty big town. And then over here into Brooksville, North Weeki Wachee, a lot of houses being built. All that stuff is happening constantly, but there's still so much land, so much space. It's honestly a really beautiful part of the state. One thing that stands out to me, though, is developers buying up chunks of land in Hernando County, projecting the growth of the whole Tampa area going further north. Specifically, a new Dell Webb community got announced for Hernando County. Dell Webb is actually a branch of the Pulte Group. Pulte, obviously, giant developer, and the leadership of Pulte now being super involved in the federal housing level. But Dell Webb is like amenity-rich, 55-plus communities. Really, people call me up specifically about Dell Webb communities. So that big development going up there is super interesting, and that's getting closer and closer to the villages, which has shown you can focus on 55-plus and really crush it. So these are the areas that Tampa is growing. I'm curious if you can comment down below which of these is most interesting to you. Also, would love to hear from you. If you made it to the end of the video, give us a call, text, or email anytime. Thanks for coming by.